Picture this. Every 24 hours, approximately 100,000 commercial flights weave their way across our planet, connecting cities and continents in an intricate web of air travel. From bustling New York to distant Tokyo, from London's foggy skies to Sydney's sunny shores, passengers can hop aboard aircraft that traverse virtually every corner of our globe. Yet there is one massive gap in this aerial network that most travelers never notice, a mysterious void stretching across the South Atlantic Ocean. While you can easily book direct flights between North America and Europe or catch connecting routes from Asia to Africa, finding a flight between South America and Africa feels like searching for a needle in a haystack. This isn't just a minor inconvenience for adventurous travelers. It's a fascinating puzzle that reveals hidden truths about economics, geography, and the complex forces that shape our interconnected world. Continental giants separated by more than ocean. Let's start with some mind-bending numbers that make this mystery even more perplexing. Africa, our planet's second-largest continent, is home to an estimated 1.5 billion people. That's nearly 1 in 5 humans on Earth. South America, while smaller, still boasts a substantial population of 450 million souls. Combined, these two continental giants house roughly 25% of humanity, creating what should theoretically be enormous demand for connectivity between them. Here's where geography throws us a curveball that challenges our assumptions. The shortest distance between these continents, from Brazil's coastal city of Natal to Sierra Leone's capital Freetown, spans just 2,900 kilometers. To put this in perspective, that's actually shorter than many popular intercontinental routes that see hundreds of daily flights, like the New York to London corridor, which stretches over 5,500 kilometers, yet carries more than 4 million passengers annually. When aviation pioneers conquered the South Atlantic, the story becomes even more intriguing. When we dive into aviation history, revealing that transatlantic flights weren't always rare. In 1922, brave Portuguese aviators accomplished the first transcontinental flight across this ocean, island hopping from Lisbon all the way to Rio de Janeiro in a multi-stage epic journey. Just 5 years later, French pilots achieved what seemed impossible: the first non-stop flight across the South Atlantic, soaring directly from Senegal to Brazil in a single breathtaking leap. During the golden age of early aviation in the 1930s, the South Atlantic actually buzzed with regular air traffic. French, Italian, and German airlines operated consistent routes between Africa and South America, while the legendary Graf Zeppelin airship majestically floated between Frankfurt and Rio de Janeiro from 1931 to 1937. Surprisingly, pilots of that era considered South Atlantic crossings easier than their North Atlantic counterparts, thanks to calmer weather patterns and fewer turbulent jet streams that plague northern routes. The emergency landing dilemma. Modern aviation safety regulations create unique challenges for South Atlantic crossings that didn't exist in aviation's daredevil early days. Today's commercial aircraft with twin engines must remain within 60 minutes flying time of a suitable airport, a rule designed to ensure safe emergency landings if one engine fails mid-flight. The South Atlantic Ocean presents a sparse landscape of potential refuge points, with only 3 viable options scattered across thousands of kilometers of open water. St. Helena Island sits nearly 2,000 kilometers off the African coast, creating tight windows where aircraft might exceed the 60-minute safety margin. Ascension Island, operated jointly by British and American military forces, provides another emergency option and has actually welcomed distressed passenger jets, including a Delta Airlines flight in 2013. Finally, Brazil's Fernando de Noronha offers a tourist destination turned potential lifeline, positioned just 350 kilometers from the mainland. While these logistical hurdles add complexity, foreign aircraft can bypass these restrictions entirely, proving that safety concerns alone don't explain the flight shortage. Colonial legacy and changing patterns. The dramatic decline in South Atlantic air traffic after the 1930s reveals deeper historical forces at work. During aviation's early commercial period, most of Africa remained under European colonial rule, with administrative and economic ties pulling air routes northward toward colonial capitals like London, Paris, and Lisbon. Meanwhile, South America had already achieved independence. But countries like Suriname didn't break free until 1975, creating little demand for connections between recently freed South American nations and still colonized African territories. This colonial legacy established flight patterns that prioritized connections between Africa and Europe, where extracted resources, administrative personnel, and wealth naturally flowed. The few trans-South Atlantic routes that exist today reflect these historical, linguistic, and cultural bonds. Flights between Brazil and Angola or Cape Verde stem from their shared Portuguese colonial heritage, while Ethiopia's routes to Brazil and Argentina represent rare exceptions rather than the rule. The economics behind empty skies. The ultimate answer to our South Atlantic mystery lies not in geography or safety regulations, but in cold, hard economics. These continents generate just $3 trillion and $4.3 trillion in annual GDP, respectively. Compare this to North America and Europe, who support over 2,000 daily transatlantic flights, despite having only 1.3 billion people, but with economies worth almost $30 trillion each. This economic disparity creates a cascading effect that determines flight patterns worldwide. European and North American economies rely on specialized industries like pharmaceuticals, engineering, entertainment, and finance that generate high-value business travel. Meanwhile, many African and South American economies remain focused on resource extraction and agriculture, creating less demand for expensive international air travel and fewer business connections requiring face-to-face meetings across the South Atlantic, future horizons and growing connections. But here's where our story takes an optimistic turn toward the future. Despite recent challenges, including the global pandemic that temporarily grounded many international routes, Africa currently hosts 11 of the world's 20 fastest-growing economies, suggesting that increased South Atlantic connectivity isn't a matter of if, but when. As these economies diversify and wealth increases, coupled with the aviation industry's recovery from COVID-19 disruptions, we can expect growing demand for direct flights between continents. Immigration patterns also hint at change. While Africans traditionally migrate to Europe and South Americans to North America for economic opportunities, rising prosperity might create new cross-South Atlantic migration flows. The few existing routes already demonstrate this potential after years of suspension due to financial difficulties and the COVID-19 pandemic. South African Airways triumphantly resumed its São Paulo service in October 2023. Operating twice-weekly flights from Cape Town using modern Airbus A330 aircraft. Meanwhile, Ethiopian Airlines continues its consistent daily service, linking Addis Ababa to both São Paulo and Buenos Aires, representing one of the most reliable trans-South Atlantic connections available today. As African and South American economies recover and business ties strengthen, these pioneering routes may multiply, especially as airlines rebuild their international networks post-pandemic. What fascinates you most about this aviation mystery? Have you ever noticed this gap in global flight networks during your own travels? Join the Minecrafted community by hitting that subscribe button and sharing your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear about your experiences with long-distance travel or any other geographic puzzles you've encountered. Do not forget to like this video if you enjoyed uncovering the secrets behind our Planet S flight patterns. And stay tuned for more mind-bending explorations of the hidden forces that shape our world.